Hey everybody, it's Leo from Nintendo here, and I am about ready to lay down some knowledge. Okay. So, I am obsessed with rerolling. I'm a junkie for rerolls, and as soon as I get 30k, I go and run to Spike for the needle for the very next drop. But every time I go, I always have my hopes dashed. So much work for such little payoff. Now, obviously, the best payouts are winning match on ranked battle, but you also run the risk of putting in up to 5 minutes of work with no payoff. Being a reroll junkie is one thing, but ranked battle can be a much darker and tormenting place. But without further ado, I've compiled a list of the best weapons in Splatoon for getting all those squid bugs. Number 5. The Splatshot Pro. The updated Splatshot is developed with advanced battlers in mind. Unfortunately, it consumes a ton of ink and has a slow fire rate, but its range and targeting are spot on for making some major bucks. Let's start off with some pros. When splatting, the Splatshot Pro has an extremely far range that allows you to get a lot of painting done while remaining relatively stationary. This allows you to splat others without any risk of personal harm. Another pro is the gun special, the Ink Strike. I cannot stress enough how important Ink Strike is for getting money. There have been countless matches where I've gotten up to 6 ink strikes in, and at an average of about 50 points each. I don't even feel like doing the math, but that feels like a fat ass bonus. But there are some cons of the Splatshot Pro. The far range is great for splatting, but this can also make the shooter a little too comfortable with staying in one place, which is a common problem for far range shooters. The good thing about this gun is that you actually have the option to be mobile, but the range makes it ever so tempting to stay put, thus making you vulnerable to rollers and close range shooters. Also, although the far range does a lot of turfing, it sort of limits you on how much you can paint. You may want to bulk up on some ink saver because getting those hard to reach areas is almost impossible without it. This is because the far range uses a ton of ink, which is ultimately the weapon's biggest downfall. So, in conclusion, the Splatshot Pro has its downsides, but it's still great for inking, and the Ink Strike really gives this weapon that extra money making boost. Number 4. The Carbon Roller. The Carbon Roller is the fastest of the rollers and is also the only roller to have the Ink Bazooka as a special. Along with the burst bombs as a sub, it is a hella fast-paced weapon, which also makes it a fast fucking painter. To start off with pros, the speed is an obvious plus for this weapon. The faster you can roll, the faster you can collect money, and after all, time is the biggest factor when trying to make money. Pro tip, if you use run speed up, you'll be seeing even more money in the squid bank. The Ink Bazooka doesn't really contribute enormously to turf points, but it does make up for the Carbon Roller's lack of close range attacks. The Carbon Roller, however, isn't free of cons. A huge downfall of the weapon is its strength. Sure, it can move as fast as lightning, but it makes you as frail as a butterfly. The range is crummy and the strength isn't all that good either. I lost count of how many times I've tried to roll over a squid quid only to see myself get bounced right back. So although the Carbon Roller gives you the potential to ink really fast, it also puts you at the misfortune of getting splatted really easily. So overall, the Carbon Roller is great at getting fast ink and is awesome for super close combat, but the weapon lacks in strength and range, but that's made up by the Ink Bazooka special. With the right tactics and strategy, the Carbon Roller can get you some serious simoleons. Number 3. The NZAP 89. The NZAP 89 is a follow-up to the NZAP 85, both of which are modeled after the gun popularized in Nintendo's Duck Hunt. The sub and special are different from the NZAP 85. I wouldn't say necessarily for the better, but definitely for the richer. Other than that, the stats are exactly the same. The main pro of the NZAP 89 is its particular combination of Sprinkler and Ink Strike. Both of these allow you to cover turf while doing other things. If you can get the Sprinkler in a good spot, you can not only cause problems and time loss for the opposing team, but also charge up your special, the almighty Ink Strike. Remember, Ink Strike is vital for Temanis. Any weapon with an Ink Strike is perfect for making money, but the Sprinkler makes it that much easier. As far as cons go for the NZAP, honestly it's a pretty well balanced weapon with the range and the fire rate being in the mid to high range, but the damage is pretty low. The NZAP may seem like a good close combat weapon, but in my experience it's best at a distance. Overall, the NZAP 89 is a great combat weapon when used appropriately to accommodate for the low damage rate. It has a sub and special that when combined with the right strategy contribute to getting some serious moolah. Number 2. The Gold Roller. The Gold Dynamo Roller is the strongest roller with the furthest range, but also the slowest in mobility, but its sub and special make it one of the best weapons to make squid cash. It's not just the gold roller's incredible range that make it an amazing weapon for getting cash, but the amount of paint that goes out with each thrust. It's a lot of paint. And because of how much paint gets tossed out each time, it makes for incredibly fast charge ups for your special, which, can you guess what it is? It's an ink strike. The special with this particular weapon is almost an absurd combination because each thrust of the gold roller is an ink strike in itself, which basically means endless ink strikes. Also, even though the action of rolling seems slow and tedious with the gold roller, I noticed that you're actually covering more ground than you would with the carbon roller or even the kraken roller. The gold roller isn't perfect though. The biggest downfall is its vulnerability. The slow mobility is a huge con and makes you susceptible to all kinds of attacks. In addition to the slow mobility, the action of thrusting is also slower than the rest of the rollers, which really leaves your armpits vulnerable. All in all, the gold roller is a fantastic weapon for making money. Although it's somewhat vulnerable, I see this as a necessary evil due to all of its amazing advantages. It would be unfair if there wasn't some kind of disadvantage. Its far range and sheer strength make it a force to be reckoned with, and the amount of pain in each thrust brings you that much closer to the mother of all moneymakers, the ink strike. I guess that's why they call it the gold roller. Number 1. The Aerospray RG. This weapon has a wimpy range and damage, but its fire rate is at a maximum capacity, and it has the ever essential ink strike as its special. From my experience, the Aerospray RG is by far the best gun for making tons of money. Although it has a weak attack and range, the immense fire rate and fast mobility make it extremely quick and effective for turfing, especially if you've got run speed up. Some may say the gold roller is better at stacking up the cash, but I think the Aerospray RG has the advantage of being more elusive than the gold roller. Not only can you clean up those hard to reach spots in a jiffy, you can also avoid sneak attacks much quicker than the gold roller, and because of the fast mobility, you can also obtain your ink strike at an even faster rate. The Aerospray RG does unfortunately have its downfalls. Even though it's a close combat weapon, the gun is still crummy at killing people, and you really have to rely on dipping and dodging to get your opponent killed, but I've found the Inkmine sub makes up for this a lot. Another problem is that you have to constantly be on the move to turf more, as the Aerospray RG doesn't have a very far range, but this isn't too convenient since the weapon has high mobility. Overall, the Aerospray RG is an amazing gun for getting a lot of money to the point that even if you lose, you'll be getting a ton of cash. I've lost turf battles before and still won with the most amount of money out of everyone, including the winning team. You may die a few times in the process, but you'll be splatting all the way to the bank. Well, thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more awesome videos by Nintendo Stone.